Welcome everyone. This is Kevin and 7RXC. And we'll have club meetings start at the top of the hour. Be sure to say hi in the chat room. And let me put this up there. See the text if you want to get on the roll for today, attending today's club meeting. You can text your name and call sign to the number in the upper right hand corner. That's 435-261. 2272. So anyway, Mitch says hi. Oh, Spencer and Burl are with us. And Lori, see you. Brandon Tibbetts, hello. And hello to you, Cindy. We got Jason, and I assume Olivia's there. Oh, different Jason, right? KF7OIR. Oh, this is Jason. All right, OIR. And anyway, and Tyler. Good morning, Tyler. And I think that's everybody that I've gotten so far. Oh, there's Shirley. Good morning, Shirley. Oh, we got both you and Kent. Thanks for joining us. So if you'd like to say hi, please say hi in the chat window. And let us know that you're there. You can also ask questions during today's presentation. You can ask questions, okay, if you've got them during the presentation. All right, Cindy says, please repeat the phone number. You bet. You can text to 435-261-2272, and you can see that, should be able to see that on the screen there right next to the welcome now. All right, 435-261-2272. We got about 3 minutes, and we will start. Good morning, everyone. This is Kevin and 7RXC. Welcome to club meeting. We'll start at the top of the hour, so we got about 2 minutes. Got a great presentation in store for you today, and looking forward to the presentation. Thank you all for joining us. If you're just joining us, say hi in the chat. You can also record your attendance at club meeting by texting the number you see on the screen, 435-261-2272. Please put your name and your call sign, and that will get you on the roll for today's club meeting.
Good morning, Gary. Nice to see you here with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Just a minute away from the start of club meeting. If you're just joining us, be sure to say hello in the chat window, and that lets us know you're here, and we'll get club meeting started here shortly. Again, get on today's roll by texting your name and call sign to 435-261-2272. Now realize to participate in the chat, you have to be logged into your Google account or YouTube account to actually type into the chat. So feel free to ask questions in the chat room, and we'll get started here in just a second. Good morning, everyone. This is N7RXE, Kevin Reeve here. I'm in Logan, Utah, and I want you to meet our participants today, and we'll go out and say hi to each of them. They can unmute their mics and get ready. First of all, we'll head on out to Paradise, and we'll say hello to our club president, Ted MacArthur. Hello, Ted. How are things your way?
Hi, group, and nice to have everyone here today. Like Kevin said, if you can text that number, that gets you on the list for the yearly grand prize, which is usually a really nice mobile radio. So please do that and get yourself logged in as watching here today. And I just been working around the house and working on a few radio projects and just having a lot of fun with the nice weather we've been having. Back to you, Kevin.
All right. Hey, thanks, Ted. Appreciate all you do to keep our club rocking and rolling. All right, let's go over to River Heights and Tyler, N7UWX, our club vice president. Hello, Tyler. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, Kevin, everybody. It's good to be on today and kind of see everybody. Anyway, it's good that the weather's changed. Things get out and doing some stuff, doing a little bit of ham radio projects, not a lot, but been trying to do a few, stay up on things. So just hope everybody stays safe and well.
All right, thanks. Well, let's take it now down south to just past Point of the Mountain, and let's welcome our special guest and presenter, Chris Andrus, KC7WSU. Did I get it right, Chris? Hello, and how you doing?
I'm doing good, Kevin. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, KC7WSU. Glad to be here with DMR Utah. Just trying to stay busy, find projects to do. So, yeah, we just hanging out with the family and a few little ham radio 3D printing projects. So not a whole lot going on. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. And we want to welcome everybody. It says 32 of you are watching now. We appreciate the attendance today. It's a bright, sunny Saturday, but it beats standing in line at Home Depot. I'm sure it's a madhouse today. I've gone there a few times, building a shed to get my lawnmower and gasoline and yard tools out of the garage. And so we've made a few trips there. Well, anyway, welcome everyone. Let me put up the number one more time for those of you who just joined us. A little hard to see. Let me move it down where we can see it a little bit better. Maybe there. Text 435-261-2272 with your name and call sign. That's 435-261-2272, and that will get you on the roll for today, and we appreciate knowing who all attended, and as Ted said. All right, well, we're going to get started with club meeting now. We're going to send it back to Ted, and he's going to take us through some of the club business and announcements for the day. Go ahead, Ted.
Okay, thanks, Kevin, and we'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone again, and let me move us on. I want everyone to keep safe. My son that lives in Moab told me that his girlfriend's sister that lives in the property next to him became positive down in Moab, and so you just never know where it will hit. They only had 4 cases prior to that in Moab and hit right at home, so everyone in their immediate neighborhood had to go get tested, and luckily his whole family came back with with a clean bill of health. So everyone, keep the mask on, keep the distance, and let's stay safe. So remember 2-meter distance. So let's go on. Just a reminder about if you want to join our club. If you're a student, it is absolutely free, and that's anywhere from preschool on up to any level of learning. So, and then otherwise it's $25 a person or $3 more, so $28 for the whole family. And just go to the website, log in. If you're renewing, there'll be a link in there to let you renew, and you sign in, and it'll give you a renew, and you can do that totally online. We're getting a little closer to where we might have an exam, but we're still not there. If you are ready and want to, there's a few down towards Salt Lake in Utah County that are doing some exams. I guess they call them parking lot exams. They have you stay in your car, and they have somebody come to the window and give you the papers and stuff. But we're going to let them do that and not really get involved. And then there are some that are doing remote exams. If you are really wanting to get yours done, you can contact me, and we can get you down the information of where you can go to do your licensing. I know some of you that are getting ready to do your, I believe it's extra, you've only got a short time period before the test changes a bit, so you might think about driving down to that area to get your license upgraded. And again, our one-day ham class, the next one is in October, or no, November. We moved it up a little bit to match the university schedule. So November 23rd, we hope that there should be no problem by that time. And that will be a technician one-day ham class. So if you're thinking about some friends that want to get licensed, or some family, and they want to wait that long, that's when our next one-day ham class will be. Okay, last month we had Elmer Night, and we did it using WebEx. And normally we did not do Elmer Nights through the summer months and things because we were so busy, but we thought, well, this was a real nice way to do it. So we're going to continue these on an every other month basis with the Aries in between. So in June 16th, we will have another online Elmer Night. So there'll be more information about that. And it worked really well. We had lots of questions, and hopefully got a lot of questions answered. So keep apprised for that, and we will keep this up. I think people really enjoyed it. Okay, last month we had a 7th Area QSO party. I want Jason Peterson was in charge of this event, so I was going to have him come online and tell us about it.
Thanks, Ted. As Ted mentioned, with the QSO party, we were unable to meet as a club, so we had everybody meet individually, and we've been collecting scores from all the members of the club for the contest. As a group, we had over 530 contacts on many different modes, voice and CW. I think there was some digital as well. I'm not 100% sure there. We had an unofficial score of 30,270. There could have been some duplicates there, and we probably missed some multipliers. We just combined each individual score to find that number. We contacted over 40 US states, including Florida, Maine, and Alaska, as well as many of the Canadian provinces. As far as propagation went, 40 meters was probably the best band that I could see from everybody's logs, followed by 80 meters, and there was some 20-meter contacts as well. So that's the scoop for the 7QP party. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jason. Thanks for taking over that project, and it was fun. I only had about an hour to work on it, but got a real nice pile up when that was going on. So thanks again, Jason. Okay, Tyler, can you tell us about the Aries meeting?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that participated in the shakeout last month. We had very good participation, and it was good to get everybody on the air and practicing emergency communications. The county emergency manager was pretty impressed with what we did, and in fact, he would like to take our little status message we did and integrate it with their rapid assessment plan, and so with things could be sent out earlier. So as soon as things get back to normal, we may start working on that. So we have a real valid thing to practice next time, maybe. So for May, I didn't ever come up with anything for club meeting. Nobody had any suggestions or anything. So there will be no Aries meeting for May. But I'd like to encourage everybody to get out and practice your e-com skills. Get out and set up a portable station, get it running on the air, check into a net, maybe do a parks on the air or something like that. Just keep yourself refreshed on how to run your equipment. Remember, we've been doing the WinLink net that comes after the Aries net on the first Tuesday of the month. And I encourage you to do the WinLink stuff anytime. It doesn't just have to be on that Tuesday night. Practice sending WinLink messages with forms or just messages. And I really appreciate everybody's participation so far with what we've done. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Tyler. Okay, just a reminder, Little Red has been canceled for 2020, and also the Wasatch Back. So those and then the last thing is field day. As of right now, we're still planning field day, but we really won't know till about the first part of June, middle of June, if we're actually going to have field day happen this year, or we do it similar to the 7QP party. So more to follow on that. We'll watch your emails, and we'll be sending out announcements more on what's going to happen next month. Okay, that's all the announcements. We're going to go ahead now and turn the time over to Chris for his presentation.
All right, thanks, Ted. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see. I think Tyler's switching it over. But just kind of want to tell you a little bit about myself. I got licensed in 1997 as a Boy Scout, and that was kind of my interest. I had a Boy Scout leader that had his license, and we used it. Wasn't cell phones, wasn't anything back then. I remember having a pager as a kid, and so ham radio was a great way to get in contact with people, and I've still loved it ever since. Had bouts of active in the hobby and not active in the hobby, but I've really enjoyed DMR, and that's kind of where my love lies right now, is with that. So hopefully you guys will get something out of this. You'll get some information that's helpful, and and then we're here to help. If you do get stuck, you've got questions, you need something. Tyler had sent me, somebody sent me a little meme this morning. It's like a guy holding a sign that said, "Hey, I need some help. I don't need money." He said, "I just need some help with DMR." So hopefully you're not in that boat, but if so, we're here to help. So I guess first thing is why DMR, and why would you want to use DMR? I think the biggest things is we get improved voice quality. We get improved functionality such as location information. You can have, similar to APRS, you get digital APRS. You do have some security options. There is authentication and encryption. We don't run encryption on ham radio, but DMR offers that spec. And then there's some improved channel efficiency, what we consider 2 time slot TDMA, and we'll get more into that. And I forgot to mention, I am watching the chat, so if you do have questions that come up during this, feel free to post them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer those. So really, what is DMR? It is an ESTI published open standard. It was published back in 2005, and it uses the Ambi voice codec. It's actually using the same codec that System Fusion uses, and a very similar one to that P25 is using. The best part really about it is it is an open standard, so anybody can use it, anybody can implement it. It's not proprietary, which makes it great for everybody that is actually using it. So with DMR, you do get a better signal quality. You don't have your hiss, your pop, your static, your repeater IDs. You lose all of those. We also have forward error correction and a CRC check as well with that. So you don't really get, people sometimes don't realize that you don't get more coverage because it's still RF. It's still the same. The biggest difference is you normally get more usable coverage. So where you might be down in the weeds with some other, on analog, and you can barely hear somebody. Sometimes with digital, you can still hear them just fine. Unfortunately, though, it does mean you're in or you're out. There is no middle ground. There's no, oh, you're a little bit static. It's in or out. So the other thing is it is 2 repeaters in one. We talked about, so it is 2 time slot TDMA. It basically allows you to by using time division, you're able to carry on 2 full conversations without having to have special combiners, without having to have 2 different frequency pairs. You basically have 1 repeater. The 1 repeater is about the same cost as almost any other repeater out there. but it gives you that better efficient use of the spectrum. So the biggest difference, you know, some people say, well, it's not a big deal. I can get 2 frequencies. I can get 2 duplexers. That's not a big deal. But a lot of times people worry is a lot of people try and fit them into the same space, and they just put them next to each other. And at one site, you just can't do that. It's not possible. They would have to be 2 different frequencies far enough apart, just like you'd have to do with analog. You couldn't run a 447.050 and a 447.075 all at the same site. You just can't do it. So that's what causes our issue. So it's easier a lot of times to just have a single box and be able to basically double your usage just with one box. The other thing you're getting is longer battery life. The DMR it's because it's not transmitting all the time, it's transmitting that pulse like we saw. You do show a longer battery usage, which is great for your emergency communications or any of those types of things. That you do get that better battery life on it. Most of these radios all have lithium-ion batteries, so it's much better. And then the next thing is it does use talk groups. Talk groups come from the trunking systems. So from your our statewide trunking system, your P25 trunking, most of these commercial implementations all use some sort of talk group function. And basically the idea behind that talk group is that it's a virtual channel. And you basically say, oh, okay, I want to talk on talk group number 93. And that allows me to talk to all the other people in the world that want to talk on talk group 93. They just have to program their radio, and you can segment it. So they can be segmented by region, by country, by state, by all these different ways that you can segment them. So it just happens to be just a number. And the only one you guys can't see is that talk group 3149. It's missing. It just looks like it's cut off the presentation there. And that's our Utah statewide talk group. And that's probably our most common. And then we also have a Northern Utah, which covers most of the Northern Utah ones and pretty much everything from like Woods Cross, Bountiful going north all the way up to the Utah-Idaho border. So that's and Bridgerland has some of those repeaters. So the other great part, remember we talked about, is an open standard. So the open standard also means anybody can create a radio. So you have all the big manufacturers, your Tate, your Harris, your Hytera, your Vertex Standard, so your Motorola, you have all of these manufacturers that make radios. And then you have hundreds of other ones that make radios. For those of you that may be familiar with things like AliExpress or Alibaba, I search those frequently, and it seems like every 1 to 2 weeks, there's a new radio, there's a new manufacturer, there's somebody else that's making a radio on there, and you could purchase it. So lots of different options out there. The other thing you'll notice is your radios are getting cheaper and cheaper. Your D-Star, your Fusion, your P25 have all kind of stayed about the same these days. And then the other ones that you're seeing are your DMR. I think the cheapest one I saw lately was about $45 or $50 for a DMR radio. So prices really come down on those. It's a great way you can get into it. It's easy. I would say you could buy a radio for $50, and then we're going to talk about something called Hotspots, and you could pick up another one of those for $50. So even if you don't have a repeater nearby, for $100 you could get on DMR. So we'll talk about that. So there's a question from Joseph. Are there event or special specific talk groups? There are about 1,500 talk groups. There's lots of different ones to see about, like You could create one for an event if you wanted. Like if you had an event, say it was an Aries event, like Little Red, you could, if you wanted to, create a talk group and use it for that particular event. You could do that. Or there are a bunch of pre-programmed special event ones already out there, and you could coordinate to use one of those if needed. So lots of different options. So some of the features of DMR, it is designed for commercial use. That's its primary purpose. Amateur radio just happens to be a pretty large user. I would say that probably 40 to 50% of the market these days is probably ham radio on this. So it's pretty large chunk. You do have lots of commercial companies that are using it. They love it. But you get things like site-to-site roaming, like a cell phone. You can carry your conversation on from all the way down here in Utah County, all the way up to Logan, and your conversation would just carry on. It would automatically pick up all the repeaters, and you'd just be able to keep carrying on that conversation. So the other thing that's nice, because they are commercial, there's lots of rugged radios out there. So tough radios, if you're worried about your cheap Baofeng, they've got some of those. They're $40, $50 Baofeng DMRs. But they make rugged ones too. It is an open standard, so anybody can make one, anybody can implement it, anybody can use it. You also have the ability to have a private call, so it's not an encrypted call. It just means that it uses a special way to communicate just between two users, and enables you to set up a call. So it's kind of cool, similar to like a CTCSS encode decode. The only difference is if you turned off CTCSS encode decode, you could hear it, but you just can't with private calls. So we do have a large amateur DMR coverage. So it is nice that way. Nationwide, we are by far the biggest digital network in the United States. And then it is very easy to use. So I see another question here from Harris. So how much of Utah has DMR repeater coverage? So DMR, basically we cover pretty much from Spanish Fork, Utah, up to Logan. Pretty much if you were to follow I-15 all the way up to, we can pretty much follow from Spanish Fork all the way to the Utah-Idaho border. So we have pretty good coverage as far as Utah goes. I have a map. I don't remember if it's, no, I must have taken it out. But if you go out to, no, I don't, just a second. All right. So here's pretty much what our coverage looks like. So we go all the way down from Spanish Fork, and then we go up past Logan, Riverside, pretty much the Utah-Idaho border. So we have pretty good coverage. Salt Lake has really good coverage. We're a little more spotty in areas like Woods Cross and Bountiful, but yeah, overall pretty good coverage. So one thing is we did switch to something called Brandmeister. So previously we used a proprietary Motorola linking system, and we switched to something called Brandmeister. And basically Brandmeister is brand new radio amateur DMR network, born in 2015 as a result of cooperation between digital hams from Russia, Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands. and they decided, hey, we don't want to use a Motorola proprietary, so we decided to build our own. So Brandmeister is a basic building block for the network. It was invented by R3ABM in June 2014 in Germany at Exhibition Ham Radio 2014. So the name Brandmeister result of playing with the form of sentence brand new master server in German. And so they basically made it so that it does a lot more. It's not Motorola proprietary, and it really opened things up, which is great because DMR is an open standard. So why not open it up? Let's stay away from proprietary things like Motorola, and let's make it. So now we have lots of options. So the biggest thing is Brandmeister is free, where the Motorola one did cost a lot of money. It was a couple $1,000s for us to have it. It has things like Hoseline, which allow you to listen into DMR from a web browser. I know they're working on that at the moment. It does allow hotspots. We'll talk about that. Homebrew repeaters and Motorola, Hytera, and Homebrew interconnects. So it allows all the different manufacturers to talk. Before, if you had a commercial repeater, the only way to go was Motorola. And it also allows analog D-Star and Fusion interconnects. So it allows you to do a lot more things, which was for us, the huge selling point, to be able to switch to something open and just much better. So in industrial repeaters, you can use Motorola, Hytera. There's also a couple other, I don't remember if the Tate one's covered yet, but there's a couple that are all covered. But yeah, you can use several different industrial repeaters, which is great. You can do a homebrew repeater, and basically the idea behind it is you have a board. For those of you that are familiar with D-Star, they used to have something called a GMSK modem, and you could do the same thing. You had a board, you connected a receiver and a transmitter that could work. It could be two radios, it could be an analog repeater that's been converted, it could be a lot of things. And then you connect that to a computer, and then that does all the linking and does everything for you. Nowadays, the computer for most of them these days, it's all a Raspberry Pi, for those that are familiar with that. And a lot of these boards fit right on top of a Raspberry Pi and then have an interface to a repeater. So really cool and really easy if you want to do that. It's my understanding that the Bountiful repeater is using this. It has like two CDM Motorola radios connected through a board and the computer. I think he said the whole setup cost him $400 to $500. So not a bad way to go. So hotspots. So we have these hotspots. They're MMDVM based, which is what we call a multi-mode digital voice modem. And these are great. So these are what I was talking about. You have these little modems that are able to sit on top of a Raspberry Pi or any other tiny computer. They make the Nano Pis and a bunch of things too that are out there. And basically the idea behind it is they have a small computer. They have a board on top of them that has a small, like 10 milliwatt transmitter. So they're really designed for around the house, that type of thing, or mobile in your car, whatever it may be. And normally all you need to do is you give them wireless internet access, and then they get you on the network. So that's a great way. So like Ted mentioned, as far as the industrial repeaters, BARC has 3: Promontory, Riverside, and Wellsville. Those are all courtesy of Bill Neville, W7KMF, for those who remember. And so it's kind of there's lots of options. The hotspot happens to be another option if you're not within range, or you're in your car, or whatever it may be. You can have that option to use it. At my house, I have one. I have a repeater not too far away, but it is nice to have the hotspot. I keep a hotspot at my office, so if I want to, I can power it up and go. I keep one in my backpack with me. So it's a nice option so that if I have my radio with me, I can pop it up and get on the network kind of no matter where I am. The other option for hotspots is what we call the Shark RF Open Spot. So they have the Open Spot. They have an original Open Spot. They have an Open Spot 2, and they also have their 3rd generation Open Spot. So these are an option too. These are I would consider not really a homebrew or a kind of a do-it-yourself. These are a commercial implementation. If I remember right, the Open Spot is about $250. The Open Spot 3 I thought was $300 something. So it is just that. It's a commercial implementation. They do all the firmware and everything else. So looks like US $270. So that's an option if you want one too. I'll show you kind of the hotspots. So these hotspots, if you look at this one here in the middle, that's one I've built and put together. You can build them for about $40. So that's really kind of your option. You can build it yourself. You can buy one commercial. Lots of different options there. The other cool thing that you find with DMR is we have Android, RF, and they have ROIP options. So if you're not familiar with that, that's the radio over IP. Basically what it is it's normally an Android device, and they have a two-way radio built into it. And so you can use the two-way radio. And then also with the two-way radio function, you can flip off the two-way radio, turn on your cellular, and connect into the back end of the system. So that's pretty slick too. So if you're in an area that's outside the range of a repeater, or you forgot your hotspot, now you basically have a hotspot built in. And there's a couple companies that make that. This one here in the middle, the RF Finder, they're still working on their ROIP implementation, but they have a really slick setup. This Hytera over here, their ROIP works, and it works really well. So just kind of an idea, the Hytera radio is $2,600. The Android RF, the RF Finder is, if I remember right, they're about $800 or $900. And this other one over here is the Box Chip S900A. It does radio over IP, and that one is about, the last price I saw was about $549. So it's about the cheapest of all of them, and it has the two-way radio plus the radio over IP back into Brandmeister. So pretty cool option too. Especially if you already have an Android phone and you're an Android person, yeah, you could switch over and have it be your primary phone plus your two-way radio, kind of everything all in one. So kind of slick. The other one that's out there is called the DV Megacast. It's basically a multi-mode IP radio, and if you look at it, it's a box. There's circuits inside of it. You plug a microphone in the front of it, just like this. It's the exact same microphone if you have a Yaesu FT 8800, 8900, 7800, 7900. I believe it's the MH48 mic. You plug it into the front of it. It has a port on the back of it to give you internet. And then it allows you to talk on DMR, D-Star, Fusion, P25. It's basically all of those different modes in this box. It's a software-defined radio, and it does the whole thing for you. Everything is done via the internet. There is no actual RF happening with it, but it's kind of a cool thing, especially if you're put in your shack or whatever to listen, to talk. So kind of a neat setup also. This unit's about $500, so not much more than a mobile radio these days. So for the do-it-yourself hotspot, if you want to do it just like the one I built and I showed you, there is a code there. You can also go dmr-utah.net/hotspot, and it shows you all the build materials you need. All the different parts, where you get it, the price on them. So that's an option. If you'd like to build that, we've got all of that out there. Or feel free to scan the code with your phone, and that'll take you to that website also. So really, how to get started in DMR, if you don't already have it, you do need a radio. You'll need a DMR ID, so you'll need to go out to radioid.net. You'll need some repeater information or your hotspot information, how it's all set up. And then if you do get stuck, you can always reach out to us, dmr-utah.net. There's a contact us form. There's code plugs. There's lots of different things out there that you could find. And there's also lots of other online resources. We have the Amateur Radio Guide to Digital Mobile Radio. It's available on dmrutah.net. Our website, brandmeister.network. There's a bunch of groups.io. I know Bark has a groups.io. There's a bunch of other DMR ones out there. There's a bunch of YouTube videos, a wiki. And then the other thing we have lately is we do have a Telegram channel for anybody that's interested. So it's dmr-utah.net/Telegram, and that'll join you to our Telegram. Those of you that aren't familiar, it's like a group chat, and we have that online so that you could chat with us and talk about DMR, get some help, whatever it may be. We pretty much have somebody in there all the time that's more than willing to help or answer questions or get you a code plug or whatever it may be. Not too long ago, we had a guy and he was having a weird issue, and he just took his phone and recorded a video real quick, uploaded it to the channel, and we were all able to kind of help him understand what was going on, why it was happening. So that's kind of, I would say, the quickest and the easiest way to get a hold of us is via Telegram. So any questions for me today about DMR, anything DMR related, any sort of hotspots or equipment recommendations, anything like that? No, not seeing anything in the chat. So if you do run into something, feel free to reach out. Like you said, DMR Utah. We've got a contact page. We've got a Telegram channel. We're happy to answer any questions you may have, help you get started. That's what we're here for.
Hey Chris, this is Kevin. I'll ask a question. If I was just getting started into DMR, you showed a bunch of radios from high end to low end. What radio would you recommend, or where should I look first?
So that's always an interesting question that I get from people is what should I buy? And I would say the biggest thing is you have to look at this like buying a car. And you have all these different cars out there. You have all the different brands. You got your Fords, your Hondas, your American made, your Korean made, your Japanese made. You have the exact same thing with DMR. And so a lot of times I tell people, what do you want? What features do you want? What do you want to have? I would say that by far, to answer Harris's question, what's the most popular DMR radio in Utah? I would say the most popular radio out there is the Anytone AT, the 878 UV, as Shane pointed. So yeah, the 878 UV, I would say, is by far the most popular radio right now. For what it is, what you get, the feature set, you get the same features you get in the high-end Motorola and Hytera radios. at $200. So you're paying a half, the third the cost, and it's a dual band radio. So it'll do all your analog, all your digital. You can pick them up for $200. See them all the time for like $200, $202, $205. So that's what I would say is by far the most popular. The other one that I see is really popular these days is the there's a Baofeng. It is I want to say it's the 1801. Yeah, so it's the Baofeng DM-1801. And so the nice thing about the Baofeng DM-1801 is I've seen it for $45 up to like $55, $65. And it's just that. It's basically for everybody that remembers the UV5R, and it seemed like everybody picked up a UV5R for $15 or $20, $25. Nowadays, Baofeng has a DMR radio. This is pretty much the same thing, but it sounds better. It's much nicer, and you're picking up for $50. So for the price of two UV5Rs, you can get a DMR one. So if you're not sure it's what you want to do, you're not sure if it's the right thing for you, yeah, you could spend it at $50 and use that. And then Tyler says, and these digital radios still do all your analog. You still can do all your analog. Yeah, you've got your analog options. The other thing really neat about the Anytone, the 878, is the 878 will also do APRS. So I know that for your Aries, and I know for a lot of your guys' events, you guys use APRS. So that's a huge benefit, is that now you have a radio that does APRS. It'll do DPRS too, so your digital APRS. And it'll do all your VHF, your UHF, your analog, your digital. So the Anytone's really that radio for $200. It could be that radio that you buy as your first radio and use it for years and years to come. So yeah, great little radio. I can't say enough about it. The new one does Bluetooth, and I know there's a bunch of like Bluetooth speaker mics for it, things like that. So yeah, great radio. But if you don't want to spend a lot, yeah, the Baofeng DM-1801. And then, yeah, Ted says they have code plugs they can share. If you'll notice the DMR Utah website, we have all the digital stuff in there. We don't have analog, but I know that Ted has a lot of the analog and all of that in there too, so that you can have both.
And if I recall, I think both Ted and Tyler have the 878 Anytone, and Shane says he has the 878 and also the 578 mobile, and I think Ted has that as well. So the Anytone, like you said, seems to be a popular one up in Utah, and especially in Cache Valley.
Yeah, it is. It's a great radio. It's hard to beat what it is for $200. It really is. So great. Any other questions? No, I think that's it. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Chris, and really appreciate you sharing that with us. It's been quite a while since we've gone over any of the digital radios in our club meetings, and we've got a lot of equipment up here. A lot of this digital stuff, Bill Neville really enjoyed the digital side, and he's put up actually more than 3 repeaters. We got some others that we are also going to get back online, and then there is 2 2 DMR repeaters up in the Preston area and one in Malad, and they both work. You just have to have the frequency and put that into your code plug to make them work. Anyway, if anybody needs to see a code plug, we have much more than just the Anytone. I've got some TYTs and Motorola's and whatever. The Motorola's do a really good job with the roaming, and the Anytone. I don't have my Anytone set up for roaming, but it will do it. So they're kind of a fun little thing, and it's just like anything else. You can just turn the knob and you'll be on a different talk group, and if you want to join in with the digital radio, please do so, and you can join in with that. On Hotspots, I've got one right here. The cable's not long enough, but this is a nano spot. It's kind of an older one, but it will do P25, NXDN, DMR, D-Star, and Fusion. So anyway, if there's no more questions, we'll ask for questions one more time, and if that not, we'll go ahead and close the club meeting. Okay, it looks like that's it. So everyone, again, be safe out there. Even though they've loosened some of the restrictions, it's still not, the virus is still out there. So be very careful out there, and everyone have a great day. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chris.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Kevin, for doing this presentation for us.